Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State has attributed Nigeria's persistent insecurity to the complicity and inaction of the country's elite, calling on them to take responsibility for reversing the crisis. Speaking during a stakeholders meeting themed Dialogue on Community Policing as a panacea for insecurity in Nigeria, the case of Plateau State, the governor declared that the elite have played a significant role in deepening communal divisions. My theory is that more than anybody else, the challenges of insecurity in Nigeria are an elite-created problem, Mutfwang stated. When the elite conspire to lead the people in the wrong direction, we will continue to have this perennial crisis. He urged that while tensions may originate at the grassroots level, it is within the power of the elite to halt the spread of divisive narratives. Even when the poisoning of mind begins in the communities, when the elite take leadership and say it must stop, it will stop, he said. But when the elite fan the embers of hate, then it will be sustained. The governor affirmed his administration's commitment to bridging divides along religious and ethnic lines, stressing that such artificial barriers have long hampered Plateau's development. As I stand before you today, I want to reiterate that I came into government with a firm resolve to restore lasting peace to Plateau, he said. This is why I have deliberately sought to bridge the divides we've built across religion and ethnicity. Mutfwang further asserted that his government had done more than any administration since 1999 to promote unity in the state, despite recent attempts to undermine his efforts. His comments come amid renewed violence in Plateau, Benue, and other parts of northern Nigeria. Mr. Ikechukwu, you see this situation, Governor Caleb has come forth to say the terrorism and all the reports, all the constant killings in the north is an elite-sponsored situation. What are your thoughts on this report?
For most problems in society, in modern-day states,
right,
they are a creation of the elite. Creation of the elite in the sense that those problems persisted because one of the elite, basically the political elite, has failed to do something or has done something it shouldn't have done. So most crises in society are a result of somebody not doing what he should do or inactions. Absolutely. Right. So let me give you an example. Prior to 2010 or 2009, thereabout, the Boko Haram crisis was a localized issue around Borno State. It was the action of the elite. First, even before that action of the elite, the financier of the Boko Haram, who was appointed to government, probably would have given them some, leverage to get some popularity and maybe some finances. So that was an action of the government as at then. The killing of the then leader of the Boko Haram by in custody, which sparked outrage, was an action of the elite. I mean, the elite arrested him, maybe for good cause. The elite put him in, and now I'm talking about the political elite.
Okay.
He was put in detention. The political elite may argue that they may not have been responsible for, what transpired between him and the Boko Haram guy that was killed and the security persons that made them to kill. But was there any effort to get to the root of that matter? Probably no. So it's probably an inaction of the elite. Now, that issue snowballed into a national crisis, which it is. Back to his Plateau State. If the elite, which he is one of, if they have acted now, I'm using them collectively, irrespective of their political divide. I understand he's a member of the PDP, and the ruling party for now is the APC. But this crisis predated the coming of the APC, the Plateau crisis. Right. I'm not sure the PDP have any clear-cut policy on how to deal with that issue. Right. Neither does he himself. Before he came to power, this is a crisis that predated his coming to power. One would have thought that anybody contesting for election in Benue State and Plateau State, which is one, in fact, the North Central, even North East now, one of the things you should be looking at achieving in government is how to curb insecurity.
That is what he said he's been trying to do, but
he has been trying to do sabotage by who? Yeah, we've had the story. So, does he even, let's see what was his plan. That's okay, this is when I come, this is what I'll do. And all that. So
he said his plan was to bridge the divide.
How? What does it mean to bridge the divide? Building a physical structure bridge and put Christians on one side and put Muslim on one side, put people of ethnic group on one side and put what of here they cross. I mean, when you say you bridge the gap, what is that policy that would help you bridge the gap? What are you bridging? Do you have an understanding? The issue, is it an ethno-religious issue before you bridge the gap between religion and ethnicity, or it's just convenient for us to just label everything as an ethno-political issue? I'm not saying it is not an ethno-religious issue, but I'm just asking, is that the issue? Did he do any study, any survey to find out if this is really an ethno-religious issue? Just like what happens in Benin, they say it's farmers' headers issue. But if you look at this sustained pattern, it doesn't seem to be farmers' headers again, but everybody calls it that. So if a man comes in and says he's trying to bridge the gap between farmers and headers, he may probably get it wrong, because he will be solving a problem that does not exist. Why the problem that exists first starts. So to that extent, I agree with him that most, not just the insecurity, most societal problem, whether it's the corruption we talk about in Nigeria, whether it's the medical tourism, poor education system, they are a result of the action or inaction of the elite. But then what is he doing? What is his class, the elite group, doing to solve that problem? With respect to him, what is his plan? What was his plan before he came to power to solve that problem? It is not enough. The people on the Plateau may be tired of, how many of them was even at the lecture he was talking about? They may be tired of lectures, much as giving these lectures are good, but at times they may be mere academic exercise if nothing is done to take the recommendations, as it were, from that lecture to put it into practice. And this is where there is a gap between academic projects, academic research, intellectual discourse, and real society. Intellectual discourse are very fantastic. They could solve societal problem, but on their own, they may not solve societal problem until somebody lifts that solution stacked in the shelf somewhere in a library and implement it. Otherwise, it will remain there until such a time that it will be read as history. Meanwhile, it has not been implemented. Yes, societal problem, insecurity on the Plateau has been caused by the inactions of the, that is what he means. If he means that maybe somebody has ignited it, he should be able to tell us. But as far as I know, it is a result of inaction or actions of one of the elite. Either that elite is a government official, or that elite is a politician who was seeking office, and in an attempt to get sympathy, you whip up ethnic sentiment against people. I am contesting for the president of this.
Why does that have to be used as a strategy to win?
Oh, because they are poor in thinking. They have nothing to offer the people other than whip up ethnic sentiment. I am contesting for the president of this studio now. I have nothing to tell the people here that I'm going to do other than to tell them that I am your brother. If it happens that I am contesting against a person that is not from the same ethnic inclination as me, and the other people are majorly from one section of the country, which fortunately, unfortunately, is where I belong to, I whip that up. Oh, let us not, we are in the majority, let us not allow a minority come to lead us. Unfortunately, people buy into these things without asking the critical question, what are you going to offer? So that is how they whip up ethnic sentiment. And when it snowballs into a crisis, they become powerless to handle it, because like I said, they are poor in thinking most times, so they didn't even anticipate that this thing would snowball. And even though this thing has happened repeatedly, the new guy, the new elite, political elite who comes to use that same strategy, forgets that sooner than later, at times even before his tenure ends, he's going to have a crisis in his hand. So he doesn't even think of how to solve that problem. The basic thing is to achieve that immediate need of getting political power. So they have whipped up to sentiment here, their ethnic, religious, all manner of sentiment to get to power.
Right. Now, you said something as regards when people, this problem has been there for a long time, and Governor Mutfwang has come to say that his administration has been one of the administrations that has fought.
He's been a judge in his own case.
Has fought this head on. Right. But I want to ask you, do you think...
No, he said he has done more than any other...
More than any other administration, yes, since 1999.
History will judge if that is correct or not.
Right, but he said, of course, he's having saboteur problems in that regard. Now, that said,
whatever that means.
Do you think that people, indigenes of these places, of this far north, that have been at the center of all of this crisis, I mean, many people have lost families, people have lost friends, people have lost siblings. They have been at the center of these attacks since 1999 in different fashions, different kinds, different stories, different scenarios. Do you think that when they intend to gather together during an election to pick a leader, they wait for this leader to actually tell them how they intend to fix this problem? Basically, share their core manifesto with them before these leaders are voted into power. At least someone that is willing to help curb this. It's been there for so long.
You see, political education, political literacy demands that you understand what political power is. Unfortunately, most Nigerians are not politically savvy. They are not. Never mind all the chanting that we have opened eyes and all those stuff. You see, most people have not developed that capacity for critical thinking and questioning when it comes to political issues. Unfortunately, so in Nigeria, you may find this, in many other countries around the world, but the number of persons who fall into this category in Nigeria is abysmal, or is high compared to some other places. And
right.
Until people begin to develop that critical thinking, to understand that this guy who is contesting for XYZ position is an applicant to this position, and the same way you grill that guy who submitted CV to work in your company, the same way you should understand that this Nigerian company is my company. The sustenance of my family depends on it. So if this guy has submitted application to be our president, our governor in the case of the state, we should grill him thoroughly to understand what he's coming to do. If at all you understand what he will do, does he even know the challenges we are facing now? How is he going to deal with it? Until we begin to do that, all manner of people will continue to put themselves forward to be our political leaders, and unfortunately most of them will succeed because they would always push the wrong thing. Like he said, the elite, they would always come creating problem because they don't understand what societal question is at that time. Neither do majority of the people ask. Unfortunately, every time, every day in our life, this societal question stare us in the face,
right.
Whether we understand it or not. It's always there.
That's what I was asking. Since they are in the center of this, since they have experienced it, do you think that they have, put in the effort?
The people have experienced insecurity. The people have experienced poverty. The people have experienced going to bed without food, going to bed not guaranteed that they will wake up the next morning, not even because of one bedeviling ailment, but because they are not certain when the next marauders of, killer men will come and snuff the life out of them. Yeah, they understand this thing. It's their daily reality, but they have failed to make a connection between these things and the guy who leads them politically. They have failed to make a connection between their security or lack of it and the political leaders. They have failed to make a connection between going to bed empty and the policies the guy in government house take. You see, for all we care, we can blame the security men, and this is not an excuse to them for not doing enough when these attackers come in the face of insecurity, not just in the north, just everywhere. But you see, if the political guys are up to it, it takes a decision, a policy to arrest the insecurity. The security apparatus in most cases are subject to what the president can do. Of course, I know we have sort of an aberration in Nigeria where at the state level, even though you say the governors the governors are the chief security officers, they really don't have the power to wield such authority except where there is a political arrangement. However, be that as it may, most times these governors have also been able to meander through these challenges and be able to control the police for their own. Unfortunately, they find it more convenient to control the police when it has to do with political issues that concerns them than when it has to do with the security of the ordinary man in the police. And because we don't interrogate them enough, the average political leader does not have the motivation to provide you with security. I mean, why is he interested in you when your well-being will probably not affect him at the next election? Yes, but if he knows that what becomes of me would affect him in the next election, he will do a whole lot to help me, not because he's interested in my well-being, but because he knows that his survival at the next election. Make no mistake about that, most politicians are just interested in the next election. The good they do in office is secondary, motivated by their desire to remain in office. In most cases, it is not because they care about the people.
Thank you so much. Well, one last question on this report before we move on. The governor has come on to say that they are elites. You have pointed out to the case of Boko Haram. Are there elites that have taken the fall for sponsoring these events? By their actions or by their inactions? Have there been times when, you know, these people, their names are named and they actually go under the bond for their actions or inactions?
There are elites who are fallen victims of, you know, the problems created in society by fellow elite. But we may not be sure if specific elites that created specific challenges have become victim of that challenges. I can give you names of elites who have become victim of the ills in society, even though those ills were created by, you know, people in the same class, the same social category like them. But if the persons that created those challenges themselves, particular challenges, have become victim, it may be difficult to say, because we may not how do I put that? We may not know particularly who created.
Why aren't they being named? He said elite. That means someone knows a cluster or a name of somebody that is actively involved.
Elite is a social class.
It's a social class.
And in that class, there are more than one. So they may know that, oh, these persons created this problem. Recall sometime.
But do they have a name?
Recall some time ago, the government did say they were going to name those who have been sponsoring terrorism, but they didn't do it. That goes back to what I said, that I agree with him that the challenges in society are the actions or inactions of of the elite, the political elite in this case. Because if they had gone ahead to name those persons and probably take an action against them, maybe, just a maybe, some of them would have gone through the legal process and found guilty. And if the persons who are rightly involved in these issues, who has created this problem, this monster, have been arrested, prosecuted, probably others would take a caution. Others would have taken a caution, but because maybe for political expediency, such names are not made again. I think there was why they were still uncertain whether to name them or not. I think one of the Arab nations, either Qatar or so, named persons. They said these are the people sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria, but the Nigerian government failed to do that.
Sadly so. Thank you so much.